Hey kids, it's Alabama Annie with another episode of Stories and Songs for you. This one is a little different. It's kind of off the cuff. When you wander around this old house, it's easy to go around in circles. But this is the heart of the house. It's the old staircase that goes down from the top room, which I'll tell you a story about it in a moment. But right now, I'm going to talk about the stairs. You know, when I was a little girl and you open these doors, the door at the foot of the stairs and then the door at the den, which you've seen before, the house makes a circle. And I used to ride my tricycle around through the hallway and make the circle on the tricycle, which I know drove my mother crazy. But in the course of doing that, when I was about 3 years old, I'll never forget being right at the foot of the stairs, right there. I had come out that door, and I looked up the stairs here, and just about where I'm sitting, this third step, second or third, I saw a lady on the stairs, and she had one of those scrub brushes that are down there on the fourth step, the fifth step. They're fuller brushes, and I'm sure she bought them off a salesman who came to this house and sold them to her. But when I saw her here on the stairs, she had her hair in a bun. She was dressed in a longer dress that came down to her ankles with some cute little shoes on, which I have one shoe that might have been the shoe. And she was cleaning the staircase. So out of respect for her, and that would be my grandmother Lizzie, my father's mother, by the way, that I never met. She died of food poisoning when my dad, I think, was just still a boy. But at any rate, she was cleaning these stairs. So out of respect for that, I always clean these stairs about once every 2 weeks. I sit here with one of those brushes, and I also use a Swifter. You know, now I've got those. And I go over each of these rungs on the railing, and I polish the staircase all the way down, just the way I think she would have wanted me to do. And I think she likes it, but I'll never forget seeing her. And I asked my mother who was the lady on the stairs. And when I asked my mother that, my mother grabbed me off the tricycle, shoved it out of the way, went through that door, locked it behind us, ran to the den, locked the other door, and said, let's go in the kitchen and have some cookies. And I'm like, who's the lady on the stairs? She never told me until years later. And she said then that she admitted to seeing the lady on the stairs too, and that it was my grandmother Lizzie. So that's that story. Now, we're going to go into the front room up here, to the very top of the stairs. This is the rest of the house. I'll show you some other time unless I already have. This is the front room of the house that has a beautiful view looking down into the front yard, and you can see the neighbors and the mountain. Anyway, this room, as I was told, was one of the bedrooms where all of the boys slept. There was Ralph and Edgar, and Harry and Gordon, and my dad Pelham, who was the youngest, and one girl named Gertie. So I'm sure she had it rough. But at any rate, from what I heard about this particular story, this room belonged to Ralph and Edgar Seitz. And they were sleeping up here and probably in bunk beds or two separate beds here in the room, probably one on this side and one about where this one is, I'm assuming. And they had been out on a late night. And they came in the front door, came up those stairs, walked in here, told each other good night, and got into bed. Well, it wasn't unusual that one of the cousins or one of the brothers would be in one of the beds, probably had fallen asleep. So they didn't think anything of it. They just got in the bed and said goodnight, and one of them had another person in the bed with them. But in a few moments, they realized that it was nobody they knew. The other person started snoring like crazy, and then I think it was Edgar, reached over and shoved the guy, like, shut up, stop snoring. When he did, he realized the guy had a beard and whiskers, and none of them did. And so he freaks out and jumps up, and it's a hobo that's come in from the train tracks right down there behind that house. And he's just come in the front door like all the other boys do. He must have been here before because he came upstairs and he got in bed and he went to sleep. So that's the story about the hobo that came in and went to bed and scared Ralph and Edgar. But now we're going to go back down the stairs. Here we go. And these stairs have always given me the willies. I guess it's because of Lizzie, the fact that I saw her. But I'm over it now. I mean, I just don't glance up here a lot when I'm by myself, But anyway, so we're going to go out here to the front door now. This is the front door to the front porch. And I'm sure this is where that Fuller brush salesman came to sell my mother those brushes that are on the stairs. Or my grandmother. But at any rate, and also on this front porch, I distinctly remember being out here with my mother, playing, and it had rained. And we see a man walking up from that driveway, and he's got a pack on, and he pauses for a minute and looks up here, but he keeps coming, and he's an older man. He's dressed in dirty clothes, and he looked like he was tired. And so my mother called him up. She never turned anybody away. And she said, "Would you like some water?" He said, "Yes, ma'am, I would." So she went to get him some, and I went with her. And we came back out, and he drank the water and thanked her. And then he just started walking away again. And so we had several incidents like that. As well as when my mother was still alive, there were some Tibetan monks who were walking across America. And they stopped, and she entertained them for a while. And then there was a man who was crawling across America, dragging a cross. And he stopped here. There was also the Goat Man, who was legendary, and he would travel U.S. Highway 11 in his wagon that was pulled by goats. And he would stop, and I believe my dad used to tell me in this front yard they would let him stop with all the goats. And he would sell milk, I believe. But anyway, now I'm going to take you down here. I've shown you this before, but the reason I did this today was kind of because when we were out doing yard work the other day, I noticed that the footprints are still there. Before the tornado came through, or the big storm of 2020 on Easter Sunday evening, there was a tree here. But the storm took the tree, so now there are only bushes. Now, right here, as you can see, it would be difficult for a living person to stand. There's just not a lot of room. There are these in the way, and I've left them intentionally. But if you look right down here and look closely, I'm going to point them out to you because they're very visible to me right here. Here's a footprint, and here's one. And these footprints have been here since, I would say, since Cass was a baby, and my mother was the one who pointed them out to me, and she said, "I think someone's been watching the house." Well, either they're still coming to watch the house, which I don't think, or these footprints are permanent. So that's just one of the mysteries around here that have perplexed me for a long, long time. There are a lot more. But that's the fun about living in an old place like this. Every day is different. Every day something else needs repairing. But we're getting it done. Got a lot done this summer. Going back in for a minute, and I'm going to play you a song on piano. It's one I wrote. It's called The Train to Birmingham, because right down there past the big cedar tree or juniper tree is the railroad. And the trains run between Birmingham and on up to Chattanooga through Fort Payne and all that area. So I'm going to play you a little song, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So let me go in here to the piano and get you situated. That'll do. And here we go. Hold on 1 minute. Now you can kind of see me. My hands are not going to be right because I didn't turn the camera around. But, so you're going to think my left hand is doing the right hand, but it's really the opposite. Don't let me confuse you. Train to Birmingham. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and look forward to the next.